Hi, everyone. Dr. Sandra Colton-Medici here. I'm so excited to be talking about this topic today. And I am live on YouTube, Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, and on TikTok. So if you are joining me for the first time, thank you so much. My name again is Dr. Sandra Colton-Medici, and I'm the founder and CEO of College of Style. The one thing that I am so excited about is today I'm actually doing an AMP radio show live. So as you can see on here, if you're on TikTok or on video, you can see that I'm doing an AMP show. So hopefully I haven't done this before as far as doing all of the different live situations with AMP. So I'm not sure if I will hear a little tune in anytime somebody does join me. So I'm excited though. What we're talking about today is the nurturing sequence for your online followers. And a lot of times we talk about this in kind of broad strokes, right? Where we're talking about, oh, it's great to have followers, but isn't it even better if you know what your followers really want out of your content so that you can convert those followers, not just from being fans, but to being your customers for your products and services. And so when you think about what that really means that you have to know your customers. And that starts with talking to them. And one of the things that I wanted to start out with was talking about mapping your customer's journey. And a lot of times we think, oh, okay, well, what would we do as a customer? And so I wanted to kind of talk about that specific thing. What do we do as a customer when we're thinking about looking for a product? Well, we actually go either to a store or we go to an online outlet, right? So some sort of URL that we've either thought of or knew of or heard of from a referral, or we Google, right? We search for it, right? Another way is that maybe you've purchased a product before and you're actually being targeted by a particular business. So maybe it's not that you have reached out and searched up something from Google. Maybe you have been sought after by a particular company. So maybe that came to your inbox, right? So it may be you searching for something, you being referred to something, or somebody reaching out to you and they happen to get your email from whatever targeted list, right? So you have a few different ways that you come upon a particular product or service, whether you have wanted it or maybe even the algorithm has heard you speak about it, right? Where your audio is actually on and on your phone. And so then you start getting these targeted ads for specific products and services. So it's interesting how we kind of come upon different products and services, whether sought after or you are the person that has been sought after. So thinking about your customer journey is just that beginning point of how are we looking up a product, right? How do we even know that we need something, right? Well, something might break. You might think, gosh, I really wanted to fix something. And you find solutions, right? So you have to think about it from a solution standpoint. What kind of solutions are you providing for your audience? What kind of solution system have you created from your business that will help other people? And a lot of times, when we get onto social media or we start putting content out there, it really serves us. Right? It doesn't necessarily serve your audience. It is fun to make and you think it looks pretty and you put it up there and it doesn't actually do what it needs to do. So when you think about your customer journey, start from where you would normally start. Right? You are a customer too, right? So you have to think about it from very, very simple terms of where would I start? The next thing that I wanted to talk about is building online relationships. When you think about having some sort of relationship with your customers, a lot of people were like, how am I supposed to have relationships with thousands of people, right? If you have a big, big company, right, you probably can't have thousands of relationships, right? That would be impossible. At least I would say it would be impossible to have really, really great relationships with them, right? And that's why big organizations have customer service and they have support lines and they have chat features and they have community building so that people feel like they're part of something, even if you don't have that one-to-one relationship with, let's say, the owner of the business, right? But if you are in a situation where you're starting your business right now and you are literally forming relationships with every single person that you have online, then you need to actually be invested, right? You need to be invested in building those relationships, because I feel like a lot of times what's missing in building online relationships is it's kind of like that swipe, that people do, which I have no experience at, that you see with people on dating apps, right? Where you're swiping through to see if you're matching or whatever the system is. To me, it feels very disconnected, right? The relationship isn't necessarily with the person, it's with the persona, right? So you want to have actual relationships where you're saying hi to people, where you're checking in on them, when you're wondering what the weather's like where they are, right? It's the same as if you would have in a real relationship with real people, not just digital identities online. And that's really important when you're thinking about how you're going to convert someone that you've met online who has either sought out your product or service, or you have targeted an ad toward that person and now they're on your radar, and take them from that one place of, oh, they're interested and let's chat, to, wow, they bought my product and now we need to retain that customer with nurturing of that customer, right? And so those are two different places, and sometimes they're really far apart, right? Sometimes they're really far apart. Sometimes they're super close, because you might have that one thing that that they need and it's an instant buy, right? Sometimes it takes a little longer. But when you're building online relationships, it cannot be with the persona that that person has online. There has to be that breakthrough where you are actually speaking with the person that you want as a customer, instead of speaking with their persona saying, oh, hey, we know this flashy stuff over here is stuff that you like. That's great and all, but how long is that going to last, right? That's not going to last very long. You can only do that for a few posts before people get tired, they get bored, and they swipe right past, right? Just like people do on dating apps, right? They're like, oh, those are a few cute pictures, but what are they really about? Right. And so when you think about what is your business really about, those are your talking points, right? That's where you get to say you're behind the scenes. You get to talk about how you make things. You get to talk about what goes into the process of building whatever it is that is your solution to their problem. And then you can tell them how it's going to serve them. I think that the part that is also missing, and this could be missing in relationships too. I'm not sure because I'm married, but it really could come down to when you're telling people about the benefits of whatever it is that you have for a product or service. How does that really relate? Like, did people, did they really need it? Do they have to have it? Is there a sense of urgency to it? I think a lot of times when we think about love and relationships, it's like, I'm good. Like I could go another 6 months without a boyfriend or whatever that could be. But can people really go that long without your product or without your service or without whatever it is that is making them feel good about themselves? Maybe it's just a quote of the day, or maybe it's you're teaching people. It could be educational, entertainment, it could be inspirational, motivational, whatever it might be that you're offering. What is that they can't go without? And building that online relationship with someone, having a connection to that person that's not just on a digital space, on a very like one level, surface level space, is really important. And how you get to that is, it really could take short amount of time because people might be open to it. It might take a longer amount of time because people need to warm up to who you are and what you do and how you speak, the cadence and the rhythm of what you are in all of your different live streams and all of your different content that you put online. The next part of that I wanted to talk about is, once you are engaged with your ideal clients, checking in on your audience is really important. I feel like there's a lot of times where people will put out content and, say, hey, you guys need this. This is great. We just came up with this. This is going to solve everything. And then they forget about them. It's kind of like being reminded every once in a while by your mom, like, hey, did you check on your friend? Or hey, did you check on your dad? Or hey, did you check on so and so? Like, you need to check on and check in with your audience, right? Because their needs might have changed, right? Like, you might have met them at one point in their life, in their journey, and now they're at a different stage in their journey. And so you need to be able to have that every once in a while check in with them without spamming them, right? To say, hey, like, is this, you bought this product. Are you still in the market for things like this? Or what are you looking for now? Because sometimes people buy things over and over and over again. Like, I am a stickler for going to Target for some of my staple, products, but that doesn't mean that I haven't added new things. Like, right? Like, I have two kids. When I started going to Target, like, I didn't have kids, I didn't have a husband. I, wasn't needing diapers or training pants or any sort of wipes or anything like that. So checking in with your customer is really great, because you might have gotten targeted ads for certain things back in the day, and now your priorities have shifted, right? So checking in not only on what people need, right, as far as what products and services you offer, but how they're doing is even better, especially throughout the pandemic, post pandemic. Like, I anticipate the amount of people just shifting, completely 180ing what they're doing in life, because we are now in a whole different era, right? We are in a whole different zone of post pandemic. I either don't need what I used to do, or I don't want to do what I used to do. I want to be somebody else, or I want to talk to different people, or I need a whole new way of thinking, right? So you need to check in with the people that you used to have as, like, either, hardcore customers that would buy from you every single month, or every once in a while customers that just kind of bought those one-off products. Now it's like, hey, you might want to check in on them just to make sure that they are your ideal customer still, right? Because they might have shifted entirely, and maybe they're not your person anymore. Maybe you're not their person anymore either. And that's okay, right? That is totally fine. But it's definitely something that needs to happen. The next thing that I wanted to talk about with nurturing your audience and making sure that you are helping them get to the next place in their journey is the drop off points, right? Do you fix things, or do you improve them? And I say that because that's two different things, right? Because fixing what's broken is kind of like a temporary situation, it's a temporary solution. Or do you improve upon what you've already built? That's a really big deal, right? If you improve upon things, then you have things to offer to your customers or to your followers that are brand new, that have benefits that they've never seen before. And so if you just fix something like putting a band-aid on like something to just kind of like get through, then that's one thing, right? It's kind of like, hey, we fixed this and it still looks the same. Or did we improve something? Did we improve a process? Did we improve a product? Are we better at streamlining our services? Do we have some sort of commitment that we've now changed? It's really important to think about how you're going to do things with your customers to make sure that they know through that nurturing process that you are either fixing what's broken on the like manual side, or you are improving yourself. And that is on the organizational side, but also on the products and services side, right? So that you can improve their life by making sure that all of what you are doing is improving as well. The next one that I wanted to finish up with is by saying that your journey is not always your customer's journey. And that is a really big thing to think about. Your journey is not always your customer's journey. And when you think about where you started, right? Like, you might have been like your first customer, like you might have found a problem and you needed to solve it. So maybe you created a product that totally fixed it. And then somebody was like, hey, that looks cool. How'd you get that? Oh, I made it. So then you decided to build a business around it, right? Your journey is not always your customer's journey, though. So even though they might have found the fix it or the solution that you've created for their problem, really cool at one point doesn't mean that that journey has stayed the same. Maybe your solution was like really cool at one point, but it's kind of like, we could do without it at this point. So just know that your pathway is not the same. Everybody's going through something, right? You just never know. You just never know where it's coming from, where it's going to hit, when it's going to hit. But you do need to be aware that you are going through your own thing and other people are going through their own thing. And so it's always great to just have that in the back of your head, that where you might have thought that your customer is going might not be where they're going. And that's why what I said earlier is really important about checking in, making sure that you have all the information you need when you're putting together new and improved services and products, but that you're also staying ahead of the game, right? That your journey also includes more information that you can gather to improve your knowledge about the business side of things, so that you can anticipate changes, so that you can anticipate all the different things that are coming with Web3 and all the new technology, so that as things go, you can say to your customers like, hey, I have you covered, because while all these different things were happening, I was so on point. I was so on my game that I already knew this was coming, right? I already, fixed our website to be overhauled so that we could handle an influx of customers, or we could handle adding new experience as far as NFTs and metaverse and all of those different things, so that you are so on the cusp and so ready for whatever is thrown your way. So when you think about all of those things, I'm going to recap really, really quickly. I never like to do these super long because I know you guys have a lot to do with your day. But from the beginning, I was talking about mapping your customer's journey and starting with you, knowing that you are also a customer, and knowing that it's not that hard, right? It's not that hard to look at yourself and go, what do I normally do, right? And then think about the person next to you, like, what does that person normally do? Most likely, you guys are probably doing some of the similar things, right? Next, going through building online relationships, and not just thinking about them as personas, but actual people. The next is checking in with your audience to make sure that you are really in tune with what they want and what their needs are, so that you can continue to provide those for them. The next is making sure that your drop-off points, when people fall off of your sequence, that you're either deciding to fix that or you're improving it. I would always lean toward improving it, because the fix it kind of, it's a temporary thing. And then the last, but definitely not least, is that your journey is not always your customer's journey. And just to make sure that you have that in the back of your head while you're thinking about your nurturing sequences on email marketing, your content creation on social media, your advertising campaigns, when you're thinking about your target ideal customers and how they're going to respond to all of your advertising content and your key art, making sure that all of that makes sense in your customer's journey and not just to you. Right? And the best way to do that is have conversations with people, send out surveys if you need to, get a focus group together if you have time and the resources to do that kind of thing. Wow, that was loud. The time and the resources to do that kind of thing. But the analysis is the bigger part, right? Having surveys is one thing. Having conversations is another thing. Having a focus group is even better. But when you do that, doing analysis and making sure that you can actually pinpoint where the drop-offs are. You can pinpoint where the feedback that was like not so great can actually be fixed, right? So the analysis is the better part of all of those things, because it's great to have the information, but if you do nothing with the information, then it's not going to serve those customers, and it's certainly not going to serve your business either. So I definitely want to invite you to follow us, follow College of Style, follow my social media profiles. I'm going to put that up on the screen. If you're watching on TikTok, you can't see this, but if you are listening on AMP, I will also say them out loud for you to hear. You can follow on Instagram at College of Style, TikTok, Twitter, and Pinterest at College of Style as well. We have tons of brand new stuff on our shop, because we are gearing up for the Template Design Summit, June 4th and 5th. And you can go to get some of your Template Design Summit gear at shopcollegeofstyle.com. Again, that's shopcollegeofstyle.com. And you can also follow my personal handles at Dr. Sandra Colton-Medici on Instagram, and Twitter at Sandra Colton. So I really appreciate you guys joining me on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn, TikTok, and today for the first time on AMP. And normally I do music on AMP, so this is completely different for my shows on AMP, but I definitely appreciate you guys joining me today. And if you want to watch one of these replays, you can certainly find them right after we wrap it up here. And I definitely will see you next Tuesday right here live. I also do LinkedIn audio on Mondays at 11 a.m. if you are on LinkedIn as well. And if you'd like to subscribe to my podcast, it's called Sweet Bytes with Sandra, and you can find that on all the major podcast platforms. Have a great day, you guys.